Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today is the last build of 2025. That makes a total of 52 and over 620, I think at this point, videos on the channel total. So I wanted to wrap off this last video of the year as something simple, something that I could give as gifts. So it's definitely something that could potentially also earn me money, maybe. I purchased one of these things a while back. It is a auto knitting machine. You've probably seen them on viral videos where you just crank these things and it knits a hat, basically. So I'm gonna show you step by step how to do this. I originally purchased two of these, one for myself and one for my mother. As my mom gets older, she's having trouble with arthritis and stuff, and she always taught me a valuable lesson about the kindness that you can give other people. My mom used to hand knit hats and give them to homeless shelters and things like that. And as her arthritis got worse and worse, it became harder and harder. So I bought her one of these machines and kind of carried on the tradition of making a bunch of them, donating them to different places. And I thought it would be fun to try and make some Much Props themed ones. For those of you who may be interested in buying one, I'm probably going to give a bunch of them as gifts this Christmas. So without further ado, today I am making a knitted hat out of yarn. Let's get to building. This is an unnecessary step to making the hat, but I thought if I was going to make a Much Props themed hat that I would go ahead and burn my name and logo into some suede leather. I made a quick little design on my laser cutting software and let the robot do its thing. It took me 3 tries to get the size and the direction just right on my labels. I also went ahead and only put stitching holes on the top and bottom edge. I just thought it would make the end result look a little bit more legit. Now that my labels are ready, I can start the stitching with the machine. The one I have is branded as a Sentro, but I have seen tons of these exact machines on Amazon with several different names and colors. This is a 48 needle machine that can do both hats and scarves with a click of a switch on the front. To make a hat, the first spin around the machine needs the yarn to catch on every other needle. So pull a short length into the center of the circle, find the white needle, which is labeled as the first one, and begin manually weaving in and out of the needle hooks. Once you make a full lap around, back to the front, feed the yarn through the slot and start cranking forward. The weird 3-hole prong piece that's sticking out on the front is to control the tension of your yarn, which depends on how thick a yarn you have. As you crank the machine, you want to make sure that it doesn't knot up or tangle, as this will mess up the weave's tension and potentially mess up the hat. I got about halfway through and switched the color for a two-toned look, just tying the string in a knot and continuing to wind it. I've made tons of these hats at this point, and I know for me that once the yarn touches my work surface, the hat is big enough to fit my ginormous head. Now that my hat is to the desired size, it's time to tie it off at the top. When you look in between each of the division arms that swing out to the center of the machine, each section has a two-pronged fork where the needle shoots up from. There will be a looped piece of yarn sitting nestled in that prong. I cut my yarn about 2 feet from the start, add a needle to the end of it, and starting with the white needle, begin to sew the yarn into each of those loops caught on the prong. This will lock the top row of the yarn and allow me to cinch close the top portion of the hat. Now that I've sewn the top portion of the hat in each section with my needle, I'm ready to back out the material. So instead of cranking the handle away from me, I am now pulling it towards me to reverse the wheel. After a lap or two around the circle, your yarn will start to release from the machine. Sometimes it gets snagged on those prongs, so you may need to help it pull off. Once you have it all pulled out, move the machine out of your way and pull your threads. Your hole at the top of the hat will begin to close on itself. When I start to feel resistance, I begin looping parts of the hat loops diagonally across from each other together. This will help to close it fully. I usually do the outside for a couple of crisscrosses and then go to the inside to do a few. Then I tie a knot on the inside to finish it off. On the hat opening, you just need to tie off the string to the edge to close it up. This step is also not necessary, but I like to cap the top of my winter hats off with a pom-pom or a puffball. All you have to do is wrap the color of your choice around your hand a bunch of times and then wrap the ends in the middle of your yarn ball to pull it tight. Once you've tied it into a very tight knot, you can begin cutting off the loops to make the pom-pom strings. This hat goes by many different names. We always called them beanies growing up. I've heard them referred to as toques, scullies, skull caps, knit caps, no hats, winter hats, catch caps, woolies, poof ball hats, and toboggans. Probably missing some from where you live, so let me know in the comments below what you call these things. Living in Texas for most of my life, rarely does it ever get cold enough to justify wearing one, but when it does drop below freezing, they do come in handy. My last step is sewing on my label. This was version 2 of my laser patch, so you'll notice extra holes. On my first one, I sewed in all of the holes, and I didn't really like how the suede gathered on the edge, so the rest of them I just sewed the top line parallel to the edge of the hat. I can't thank all of you enough for watching these videos I post each week. This channel has become a great way for me to work through frustration, learn new skills, and allows me to share creativity to a much larger audience than my classroom of teenagers in my day job. If you're watching this video when it releases, whatever you celebrate, wherever you're traveling to, be safe and have some fun wrapping up the end of 2025. I wish you and your family good tidings. Here's to bigger and better things in 2026. And we are finished. Here is the end result. In total, I made 7 of these things in relatively quick time. I think it was taking me about 15 minutes or so to knit the hat, and then another 5 or so minutes to make the little pom-poms. But it's something fun that you can easily give as gifts, doesn't cost a whole lot in materials, and at the same time is something that can keep you warm and be stylish, at least somewhat. Maybe you'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to make a hat in under 15 minutes and then forget to tell them that you used one of those things. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some. Yay! And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. Thank you for spending this year with me. If you've watched any of my videos, I appreciate you spending that amount of time watching me do something goofy. Here's to an awesome 2026. Peace out. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you'd like to see more videos like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.